Hello, everybody. Time for another update from Prophecy in the News. I'm Gary Stearman. Today is the 30th of April, and we are recording this in studio to kind of put a little additional emphasis on this particular update that's upcoming. Chris Putnam and Tom Horn were here last week, and we made, I think, one of the most important announcements that we've ever made on Prophecy in the News concerning Tom's new book called Petrus Romanus. And I made a couple of updates, one of which you'll be seeing in just a moment. It was recorded last Friday for broadcast today, April 30th. Hope you enjoy it. Hello again, Gary Stearman. Time for another Prophecy in the News daily update. This is being recorded on Monday, the 30th. And I have in studio with me a couple of guys who have collaborated on a book. The book is called Petrus Romanus. And, of course, you know author Tom Horn. Hi, Tom.
Hi, Gary. Great to be here again.
And you're going to get to know his collaborator. The two of them worked together to produce Petrus Romanus. Chris Putnam, welcome to Prophecy in the News.
Hi, Gary. It's an honor to be here.
Listen, what can I say except I'm excited about this book. And you will be too once you find out what's inside. This book takes an ancient prophecy that everybody's known about and brings it to the next level, right, Tom? You have taken really something that people have known about for centuries, and suddenly there were other truths that came to light.
Well, that and the fact that the prophecy has now come to an end. So it's not just an old prophecy that is, by tradition, 900 years old. At a minimum, it's 400 years old, which was when it was published. It's ascribed to Malachy O'Morgair, who was an Irish bishop. We go into an investigation in the book about whether he truly was the giver of this prophecy or not. But the bottom line is, it is a prophecy in that it prophesied every pope that would exist from Pope Celestine II down to the final pope, who is titled in this prophecy Petrus Romanus, or Peter the Roman, and that's where this came from. But the important fact is this: the very next pope, following Pope Benedict XVI, who, according to a lot of news coming out of Rome right now, his days are numbered. He's getting older, he's getting feeble, he may retire. There's speculation about that. There's also been speculation that he may be assassinated before the end of 2012, and that by Catholic prophets who are saying that. But the bottom line is, his days are numbered. Age is doing to him what it's going to do to all of us if the Lord should tarry, right?
Yes, that's correct.
And the next pope is the final one on a 900-year-old prophecy. So imagine how historical this moment is with regard to end times, Bible prophecy. By the way, the prophecy tells us that he will be the false prophet of biblical fame who will help give rise to the Antichrist.
And this prophecy is not just for non-Catholics. Catholics themselves have been aware of it and are watching, and the popes have commented on this prophecy. Chris, you know, in this book you contributed so much detailed research, and I think one of the most interesting parts of the book is that you point out how each pope has a coat of arms, a slogan, and this becomes part of his dynamic. And you point out also that all those coats of arms were part of the prophecy. And to me, this is an amazing revelation.
Well, yeah, you know, in the ancient times, this art of heraldry was very important, and the Roman Catholic Church has rules and laws about the coat of arms. And so when these little Latin phrases match the coat of arms, you know, my first instinct was to think, well, they just picked the coat of arms based on what the prophecy was going to be, you know, but actually that's not true, because as I investigated the science of heraldry, they have to pick their coat of arms when they become a bishop, at least by then. And with some of the popes, I mean, you're talking about a period of almost 40 years between the time they were first elected bishop and the time that they became pope. So it would be literally impossible to predict which Latin phrase to match to the coat of arms. And yet we find some that are almost exact descriptions in the prophecy of the popes.
And so you have the prophecy of the popes, which is sort of self-validating. And in addition to that, you have commentary. And you have dug out some really obscure commentary to validate this prophecy. In fact, we talked on our last update about a gentleman by the name of Rene Thibault, who wrote some rather obscure stuff that sort of dropped out of sight. But suddenly, now it's back, and it's back because of this book.
Well, it's back because I studied bibliographies of other writers that had written about the prophecy of the popes, and I went and looked for the books that they mentioned, and I out of an old university library, I dug up Rene Thibault's book and started to translate the French. And not only did he believe it, he really believed it, and he found all kinds of codes mixed into the text, like the name Pius. Pius is right in the Latin of apostolic pilgrim. It pops out twice in an anagram, and he argues that the Irish, which would be Malachi, were fond of anagrams and things like a Gordian knot and all kinds of puzzles, and that this fit the MO of what would be the Malachi prophecy.
Wow. This is exciting, and it's exciting because suddenly our attention has been turned away from the Mayan prophecy for a change. I had gotten to the point, Tom, where if somebody said 2012 to me one more time, I was just going to turn and walk away, because after all, what do the Mayans know anyway? I mean, they were a bunch of guys who sacrificed young virgins to their gods and ripped their still beating hearts out of their chest, and why should we pay any attention to what the Mayans said about the year 2012 anyway? But suddenly, from several different directions, we find validation that the year 2012 is an important year of change.
Yeah, and that, Chris was just talking about Rene Thibault. He was a Jesuit. He was highly educated. He was a code breaker. And he found that not only did he believe in the prophecy of the popes and that Petrus Romanus would someday arrive, but from numerous mathematical, anagrammatical, some of it very complex, even studying solar activity from different angles, it all pointed to the year 2012, and this in 1951, long before there was any hoopla about the Mayans. Here was a Jesuit saying this is a real prophecy, Petrus Romanus will be here, and he's going to arrive in the year 2012. Now, add to that, though, that the Mayan calendar does end in the year 2012 with the return of their flying dragon god, a dragon that has the power of air, from which they claim that knowledge came concerning the year 2012. He's coming back. The Aztec flying dragon god, Quetzalcoatl, he's returning in the year 2012 at the end of their calendar. And if you study the cosmology around Quetzalcoatl, this god at death went into the underworld to join Bolan Yakteku to guard the bones and the seed of those gods that would rise at the end of this calendar. And we now have two different inscriptions that have been discovered in Mexico that tell us in 2012 Bolan Yakteku is going to rise from the dead. So compare this to biblical eschatology, where we know from the book of Revelation that the beast is going to rise up out of the bottomless pit and enter into, guess who? Osiris, Apollyon, Apollo, the Antichrist. So it's almost as if you have occultic spirits that are trying to plagiarize biblical prophecy, and we're not the ones setting dates. They've set the dates, and for thousands of years around the world, all these ancient cultures pointing to one epic moment, the year 2012, and the return of a dragon that has the power of air.
Wow. Okay. And what have we been seeing lately in the air? Well, we've been seeing a lot of apparitions, and a lot of them very demonic. And a lot of people, many other people are saying that we're just seeing the foreshadowing of that which is shortly to come. So what can I say except you need to buy Petrus Romanus. And we're offering it to you for $19.95, accompanied by this CD-ROM. Tom, tell them about this CD-ROM. This is what I'm holding in my hands here would have been thought a miracle about 3 decades ago.
Right. Well, you know what we wanted to do? This book is so fantastic. It is beyond anything I've ever been involved with before, and the conclusions in this book are going to startle a lot of people. So much so that we decided that we needed to give people the same research materials that we used to arrive at these conclusions, including the French book by René Thibault that points to the year 2012. Chris provided a rough English translation, but there's 122 different items, over 20,000 pages of books and libraries. There's audio files. There's 8 hours of radio. There's a movie on there. I mean, this disc by itself is worth hundreds of dollars, and you're giving it away free.
This one is mine. I'm keeping this one. However, the book, Petrus Romanus, yours for $19.95 with the free CD-ROM. You just heard Tom talk about it. $19.95 plus shipping and handling. If you ask for the Petrus package, you're going to get Prophecy in the News, a full year subscription, which would be ordinarily $29.95, plus the book and the CD-ROM, all together $42.95. Just ask for the Petrus package when you call 1-800-475-1111. You will not be disappointed, I guarantee you. I have read the book. Tom, wish we had more time. It's always fun. May the Lord bless your work.
Well, Gary, it's great to be here and with my good friend Chris Putnam.
Chris, it's nice to meet you. I hope we get to work again soon.
It's an honor to be on the show, Gary. Thank you.
And you should meet Chris Putnam if you ever get the chance. A very interesting gentleman. Gary Stearman, we do live in amazing times, so keep looking up, everybody.